One of the things that I am continually aware of is that you never do anything in a vacuum, and you never do anything by yourself.
When I got here, the people had somehow come about that they were just bogged down in debt and couldn't make ends meet.
We always had a vision that we would focus on the next generation and we would change as needed to make that happen.
I did do some research on the web about different churches that merged, and when they try to join, sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't.
Well, I remember one lady telling me that on Sunday morning she would take her 2 children and they'd get in a rowboat and they'd row across the bayou over there and come over here to church.
As I look back, at least in the most recent history, is that we are building upon the shoulders of others.
In 1913, 31 people came together, got baptized, and started a movement that would have an impact on our region and every single one of us beyond their wildest imagination. The area was settled by a number of families here in the mid to late 1800s. In the early 1900s, obviously they began to think about their faith, the fact that there was not a Methodist church here in the area, and several of them joined together to form the early church. My grandfather and a Mr. Edge jointly owned a mercantile building in old downtown Niceville, and they offered that building as a meeting place.
If you look at a common theme to them, has been focusing on winning the next generation to Christ. And that vision has been, it's sometimes not as strong as other times, it's very strong today, but it's always been here as a fundamental vision.
The barriers that we had to overcome, this huge amount of money we had to raise by doing it in a methodology that was new to us, really stretched our faith. There was a powerful psychological impact as a congregation by using that name Community Life Center, because it turned us from, if we were looking inward, it certainly pulled us outward.
It was the church's buildings, but he was dedicating it to the community.
You had to have facilities that would draw the next generation, and you had to have buildings that would draw the next generation.
The partnership began, you'd have to go back like 5 years to when we lost a pastor that we had. He had some medical issues and we had to put him in a nursing home. And so we were struggling without a pastor for several months. The Niceville Church somehow got with the district superintendent and asked if it was possible for them to help out. And so the district superintendent called me, because I was the SPR chairman, and said that Niceville would like to help out if possible. So we said, let's give it a try. They started providing 2 or 3 pastors up here. We were just growing in leaps and bounds. So I approached Bryce and told him that we needed to look into not just having a partnership, but actually being one church.
But then Niceville came in, and what a blessing. I'll have to tell this about Reverend Greg McKinnon. The first night I didn't feel very secure with it, but the second time we met and he prayed, I knew that we were with Christian people.
The church was growing, new people coming in, so we realized that we needed to find some way for people to get into smaller groups where they develop friendships, feel at home, and there's a bond that takes place in that small group that you couldn't possibly do any other way. Well, small groups really the lifeblood of a church.
I think one of the small groups had the idea, let's feed the homeless. And so they cooked a meal and invited the homeless, but no one came. They began to fix the meals and just go ahead and take them out into the community.
The nature of how we do ministry has been changed because of the opportunity we've had to reach these kids who wouldn't otherwise be here. God's honest truth is the bus ministry would not run if it weren't for the high schoolers who come on the buses and help them run. You know, they know the routes, they know where everyone is, they help feed the kids dinner, they help get the little ones into the children's building. You know, there's people that live in all of our neighborhoods who aren't making it to church. You know, and if any of us were half as diligent as the folks who ride the buses every week, you know, we'd be bringing people in from every neighborhood.
We focused on service and on missions and on outreach. And I think those are the things that allowed this church to grow and be the great church it is today.
The DNA of our church has been the Great Commission, that we are to go and to make disciples, not wait for people to come to us. I think that's what drives everything that we do.
What makes the church feel like home to me is the love that you feel when you come in here, the friendship. I felt from the first time I ever entered this church, it was a loving church.
We have wonderful people, wonderful. Everybody loves and greets each other just like we haven't seen each other in months.
One of the neat things about this congregation has been its ability to change, its willingness to change and adapt. You know, it's been because of God's call upon our lives to reach out to other people and make disciples of Jesus Christ. And that's what's fueling the move into Crestview as we partnered with St. Mark, and then they became us. And now as we look at this North Campus, everything we just need to ask ourselves, does this further the kingdom? How does this further the kingdom?
Today we give pause to stop and thank those who have gone before us, those on whose shoulders we stand for the past 100 years, who have sacrificially served Jesus Christ and have given their lives so that the next generation may know Him also. We're excited for what is done in the past, but we look forward now with great anticipation, with great joy to what God will do in the future. He will do exceedingly abundantly above all that we can ask or think. We just say to you, Lord, do it again, do it again.